Testing. Is that working?
Testing. This one works.
Oh. Awesome. Thank you. How many of us does it take to get the microphone to actually work? Good afternoon. It is great to see all of you, and thank you for joining us this afternoon. If I look like I'm a little bit tired, if I look like I'm a little bit old and my back is hurting, it is because it is. I've been moving for the last 3 days, and I've said that I'm either never going to move again, or the next time I move, they're getting everything, the whole house, everything in it. I'm taking 6 pieces of clothes, and they can have the rest of it. So it's good to be with you this afternoon and to talk about a topic that I think is critically important to the ongoing success of UTM, and that is around access and engagement. I'm going to say not necessarily change, but to kind of restructure in some ways what's happening in our diversity and engagement division and area. For those of you who have not had a chance to see it, because I've been talking to anybody who will listen, I do want to play a video from President Boyd that sets this up really well, I think, and gives some perspective on the goal and task at hand. So, Lindy, if you will play that video.
Randy Boyd here, President of the University of Tennessee System. As I think about our greatest decade, I'm reminded that the University of Tennessee was created to serve the people of Tennessee. One measure of our success will be how the UT system embodies the mission of access and engagement to better serve all of our communities. It's important that our campuses reflect the socioeconomic profile of our state. Recent changes to the federal and state landscapes related to diversity present an opportunity to reflect and evaluate our approach across the system, with the goal of providing greater access to all citizens and better supporting the retention and engagement of our students, faculty, and staff. Despite our best efforts, we haven't made enough progress over the last decade. For these reasons, it's time we reevaluate our approach to better ensure we are successful in this critical mission. Over the coming months, I'm asking our campus leadership to review the respective campus-based structures, strategy, and metrics related to diversity, equity, and inclusion, to look for opportunities to provide more resources and focus to this organization, and consider including more student and faculty support responsibilities housed in other departments now. Access and student success are vital to our mission. We want to be known for who we include, not who we exclude. The goal is to restructure and realign to be more effective and make an even bigger difference for our students, our faculty, and our state. We remain committed to diversity, which is one of our B1 UT values. It plays a critical role in each campus strategic plan, and the importance of that aspirational goal will not change. I look forward to making this the greatest decade in UT's history for increasing access across the system.
Okay, thank you. I think in many ways it kind of sets up a context for the goal that's in front of us, and it is around how we make this in a more accessible place, a more welcoming place for all individuals, for students, for faculty, and for staff. I do want to just take a second to acknowledge the cabinet members who are here. If you guys will just raise your hand. Okay, awesome. Some even in the back. You can't hide back there. And then for our deans who are here, if you guys will raise your hand. I know that we have several deans here as well. Okay, thank you. It's great to be here. It will be in partnership with them that we're able to accomplish this work. And so I do want to make sure that I put that out there, that it's not just my expectation, but an entire campus leadership expectation that we will wrap our arms around this process and continue to make this go forward. So these are just different student categories that are there, student, faculty, staff categories that are there. There may be people who fit into those categories nicely, maybe not so nice, and there may be others that we have not forgotten. But when we think about access, these are the categories of folks that we're talking about and how we serve them in a much better way overall. Dr. McLeod is here. He is the current Vice Chancellor of our Diversity and Engagement Division. I am going to ask him to cover the stuff on current scope, which means what are they doing right now, where do they stand right now, so that we can begin talking about the future. So Dr. McLeod.
Thank you. So currently, we have 3 departments that are underneath the moniker of diversity and inclusion. Accessibility Resource Center, many of you might have remembered as Disability Services. We changed the name to reduce the stigma, and of course it helps with students with disabilities and the educational opportunities and just making sure they have access and assisting them through the process. Also, we have the Office of Equity and Diversity, OED, and it's there for compliance. Title IX, we conduct investigations, making sure that civil rights and affirmative action is upheld for faculty, staff, as well as students. And of course, the Office of Diversity and Inclusion. And if you think about campus culture, campus climate, we're working to kind of make sure that everyone is open and the institutions are open and welcome to all. A lot of programming, a lot of trainings, and just to make sure that we're all culturally competent moving forward. And those are the 3 areas that are currently underneath our current moniker.
So the task at hand is really to think about resources that we have currently on campus and how we realign those resources around more access for the campus overall. So that's part of what we want to kind of talk about. Some of the things that I have talked to the group about doing, and we may choose to do some of these, all of these, or perhaps none of these as we go forward, but there were some things that struck me as clearly evident possibilities or having potential for us to move forward. When you start talking about student recruitment, I know no better way to do that through some of the federal TRIO programs that are there. Things like student support services, Upward Bound, those types of programs on campuses give students who are in secondary education schools a chance to get exposure to college campuses. So I've asked Alicia Melton and also Dr. McLeod to think a lot about how we apply for those federal grant programs. And so I hope we're able to kind of do that. More emphasis on scholarship awarding, how we get dollars into underrepresented student hands so that access is not an issue. I never want a student to say, I can't afford to attend UTM because of cost. So that is the goal as we think about and talk about scholarship funding. Dr. Deal has said that if he can't find somebody to fund it, he'll fund it out of his own pocket, right? Right, Chuck? Okay, all right. Okay, good. Yes, he agreed. Additional support for underserved groups to support recruitment and retention. The admissions office, I think, is doing a phenomenal job. They are grinding. I have been with them at high schools, at programs, at events, and I am really happy with the effort that they are putting forward. It does take everybody to help, and so this area could be a supplement to the work that admissions is doing for some of those really high-risk retention groups that are out there. Creating affinity groups to increase engagement and retention. It is not about separation, at least in my mind. It is about how we help folks find community and to find their community on campus, and so those affinity groups should help. And then connection with alumni councils. How do we build them into our plan for making and creating a stronger community here? You always want to get to those alums, especially those who had a really positive and wonderful experience here. You want to give them opportunities to give back of their time and financial resources. So, the big question to all of you, and we're going to take notes, feverishly try to take notes on this. If you had the authority, what programs, resources, and departments might be added or changed to enhance access and engagement for faculty, staff, and students? What things would you do if you had the ability to wave a magic wand and make things change and structured in the way that you want them? What things would you change and what would you do? So Dr. Mantooth is in the back. He has a microphone. Dr. McLeod has a microphone as well, and we'll come to you. I know we are live streaming, so if you will help us by speaking into the mic, it will give those folks who are joining us by live stream the chance to hear your question. We'll also take questions from them online, I think. Lindy is back there with those questions, so If you have questions or comment, then that's what we want to hear. That's what we want to talk about. We want to give folks on campus a chance to talk with us about what you think. What does access look like for you? What does access and engagement look like for you? What would you change to make this a more accessible place overall?
Thank you. Renee LaFleur.
Hi, Dr. LaFleur.
Answering the question. So with all of this talk about access and engagement, I'm reminded of the strategic plan refresh committee that I was on in the summer of 2022, where we listed a bunch of recommendations. What is happening with those recommendations? I guess my bigger question here is, what guarantee are you giving that things are actually going to change this time? I've been on many committees where we propose a lot of things and very little gets done. Even one of the most basic things we had at that refresh was to create a coordinating committee of all of us who work on diversity and inclusion so that we can communicate on what we're doing. Been over a year. No committee is formed at all. And that's something that doesn't even cost any money. So my question is, why should I believe that this is going to happen now?
Yeah.
And what are you doing with the stuff we've already done that hasn't been implemented?
Thank you, Dr. LaFleur. I can only answer for the last 7 weeks, of what has happened on campus. And what I am saying to you is we are going to move forward with a very structured plan around diversity and engagement and renaming the division that happens there. What I hope to be able to do is to provide some very structured outcomes. And so not just a committee, but what will the committee accomplish? How will we know what they've accomplished is successful? If it was not successful, how do we pivot and change and add or subtract or, do something that we have not done before? And so I am also going to, while Dr. McLeod is going to serve as a central focal point for leading a lot of that, it will take everyone to do it, but I will have a person that I'm going back to say, talk to me about this outcome and what we've been able to accomplish here as it relates to the information that's on the strategic plan, as well as what's happening with these open forums. The reason for having the open forum is for me to get sort of a meter on, has anything changed? I want to kind of hear from folks what you're thinking and where we are and what we're doing and how we should move forward. So that's the purpose of this. Maybe it's a very selfish purpose, but that's the purpose of this, at least in my mind, is to sort of get that stuff out front and then to act on it. I would say to you that you shouldn't believe anything's going to happen until you see it happen, but watch. Okay? So my goal is to get it done. Yes.
Hi, my name is Lauren Johnson, and I'm with Student Success. And I think that what I would like to see, and I'm excited, I want to brag on my boss, he got a grant to kind of make this happen, but increased tutoring opportunities, student or peer-to-peer tutoring. I think that the more we have those opportunities for students to learn from other students, it would be a really good thing. And trying to get faculty on board to encourage those strong students in their department, finding opportunities to increase those connections, because I think that can be very helpful. A lot of our students are coming in academically behind or just struggling in one or two particular areas. So the more we can increase that peer-to-peer tutoring, I think that would be really helpful.
I agree. Having opportunities for students to help themselves will always, always, always be a most powerful tool. And getting faculty to help us with identifying those talented students who are able to do it is incredible. So thank you to Dr. Baumgardner. I think I saw him in here somewhere. Oh, Dr. Winters.
Yes, thank you. Mine's kind of going off of what Renee was mentioning. I think we need to and I know with all the leadership changes and stuff, that's part of the reason I think that some of this happened and COVID and everything else. But I think we do have at least some basic plans on some areas. You know, for example, faculty recruitment is one that I think we've got a plan to start to implement, and I think that's something that we do. The other thing that I think we need to do a better job of is we don't know what we're already doing. Mm-hmm. I think we need some type of clearinghouse. You know, I think if you follow social media, sometimes maybe, you know, that's how I know what Renee's doing, because I follow her page, and if you know, if you follow some of the different colleges, you can see what they're doing. But I don't think everybody knows what we're doing already. So we need to know what we're already doing so we can see where our holes are, where areas that we can improve. I think we have a kind of an idea. But some of those areas, if we put a little more resource in it, we might be able to make some big, it'd be low-hanging fruit that we can make some big changes pretty quickly. We just need a little bit more, some more resources in those areas. So those are just some thoughts that I have.
Thank you. I agree with you. I think, imagine coming in 7 weeks ago and trying to work through and figure out all of the activities. There are lots and lots of activities that are happening. Where you locate those activities so that the general campus community is aware of them. And what I am most concerned about are the outcomes from it, the results of it, and how are we tracking those results related to those activities. I've got to have more conversations. Phil and I have to have more conversations with the deans about faculty recruitment and what we do there to ensure that it's moving forward. So having the plan is useless if we're not moving forward on it and if we are not putting some resources behind trying to do it. And so let's talk. I mean, I think we need to talk about how to do that and then hold ourselves accountable for moving forward with doing it.
Hi, Margaret Lewis. I have about 3-ish comments. First, mostly on faculty retention and not so much recruitment, but retention, because I'm tired of seeing our young, exciting faculty leave after only a couple years. And I think that a lot of the faculty that come see things like the pool being closed. I know a few people know that that's like my bugaboo lately, is that the pool was closed out of nowhere. But it looks like we're shutting down, you know, when we have major things like that taken away from us. We can't be a community that doesn't have access to a pool that's closer than 45 minutes away. Second thing that I was thinking in terms of faculty recruitment and retention is having clearer promotion and tenure guidelines. I know some departments are really great at this and some departments aren't. And new faculty come and they're increasingly frustrated at what they have to face in terms of that. And then finally, training for faculty. Just last week I went to the Safe Zone training, thank you, with Renee and Justin Martin, and that was really excellent. I try to go every other year just to get information about what our students are dealing with, and that changes all the time. But I'm not seeing opportunities for trainings like that for other areas of access and inclusion, and that's just for LGBTQIA, right? Okay. And not for areas of race or other issues that I would love to learn more about as a faculty member who has to take care of a lot of students.
Thank you. Great input. I will say I was probably really surprised about the pool and not surprised that we had to close it down based on what I understood was happening, that it was leaking thousands of gallons of water, you know, daily. And so something needed to be done with it. I've had several conversations with students across campus asking, hey, would you like a pool back? And to be candid, I haven't gotten really positive responses back from students about, you know, having a, what's that? Yeah. And so that may very well be the case around, you know, why we don't, you know, why I'm not getting positive responses back from them, but we're going to continue to look and try to figure out what to do about that issue. That one is a tougher one. You know, based on some of the conversations that I've had with folks about that. Yes.
Hi, Megan Hilton. Have we I'm new here, but have we as a community and a faculty and a staff asked the students what they need? Just straight out, plain out, have we asked them what they need to succeed and stuff like that and hear their voices?
So I will ask some of the folks who work more directly with students. We're having this same sort of session with some of our student leaders as well, but I will open the floor to those folks who have more direct contact with students to kind of answer that question. I know Brad is here and Andy is here and others are here who could probably answer that more directly than I can.
So from a survey standpoint, there's 2 surveys that go out to students every year. One is from the UT system that actually went live today. We'll be launching some information about that survey this week to students to get them involved, and they've got the month of October to answer it. It's got 7 questions on it, so it's real simple, and then there's a chance for them to put any kind of text they want to as far as comments or needs or that kind of thing in there. So that's the student experience survey. It happens every fall. We've been doing it for the last 3 years, I think, 3 or 4 years across the system. And there are specific questions to UT Martin in that survey. And then student government does a survey normally each semester that asks the same kinds of things. What do you need? Ask about very specific kind of programs and stuff that that the university offers. So those are 2 ways, and then we take that information, and at least on the student affairs side, we try to build programs and services around that, or bring issues to other areas if it's not something that's specific to us. So that's 2 ways. And then the other way is more of the focus group kind of situation where we're going out to student meetings and having conversations. And I know Dr. Freeman's doing quite a bit of that right now with different student groups and just asking those questions about needs and ideas they have. So.
Laura Kepler. One of the things that I wanted to comment on, if I had the authority, would be for staff and faculty for this campus, the transparency with continuing education for some of us. We have a lot of roadblocks for us to be able to pursue maybe a second master's or a doctorate, and a semesterly thing where we have to do like tax waivers, which could actually take half of our paycheck, and I've actually had half my staff have struggles with that recently, and it's created some serious roadblocks for us. So transparency with that whole process for continuing education for that would be my first thing. My second thing would be access for certification programs. We have some programs where some of our secretaries or admin would love to go for CNA or other certifications. We have a beautiful website. We have a beautiful online certification website, but everything has to be out of pocket. And I really feel like this institution could do better with helping prepare some of our staff for continuing education or professional development on that. And then something that you had commented on the last access thing was, or town hall, was that housing in this area is a huge problem for faculty and staff, and our access to that housing. Yes, we know that the housing stuff is absolutely absurd right now, but we also have a monopoly with Skyhawk Rentals. Not saying that they're bad, but like we have really good relationships with our community. It's just we can't find housing. So when people come in, it's difficult for them to be able to stay here because we are full up in housing. We don't have opportunities for families and maybe staff coming in from another state. How are they going to get all that support when they get here? It's kind of a difficult transition. So those are my 3 things.
Thank you. I agree. Well said. Any other questions or comments or concerns? Okay. So I will mention to you that President Boyd has asked us to come up with what is a draft plan for what we might change by November 1st. So there's a pretty fast clock ticking in terms of converting at least what we do around the diversity and engagement division and how we might shift the conversation there around the work that they will do going forward. And so we are going to consider the things that are here and figure out what resources we need to be able to redirect to do some of the work that we've talked about already and continue to kind of move forward. Other questions? Lindy, anything on live stream? No? Okay. Going once? All right. Okay, well, I will not hold you just to hold you. I appreciate everyone being here. Oh, there's another one. Is there?
Now we have, Chancellor, we
Oh.
have the QR code for feedback. Also, Dominique has some individual ones. If you don't have time to shoot that one on the screen, you can take it with you. We need your feedback. We definitely need your feedback, so take the time to tell us what you feel. And all this will be included in the draft and as we begin to build out the plan.
Thank you. Yeah, please scan and submit feedback. We're going to send an email to the campus to ask folks to provide feedback as well so that we can consider anything that we construct in a plan. It would have campus feedback connected to it. So, okay. Any last parting famous words? All right, well, thank you, everybody. It is great to see all of you and look forward to a good week and fall break coming up and homecoming almost immediately following that. So it should be a pretty good couple of weeks coming in front of us. So thank you for being here.